Let's take a look at the story of Denny Doyle and his experience with sleep apnea. Please watch with me.
It's a condition to where you wake up at night, your airway gets restricted, and you basically quit breathing. I went for the testing, and I use a CPAP machine now, which is a machine that forces air through your nasals and keeps your airway open. It improves your quality of life to the point where you've got your energy back. You're not falling asleep. You're not tired, wanting to take a nap all the time.
Most people don't know about it. Welcome back. We now are joined by Denny Doyle. Denny, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. You know, I want you to tell, I always ask all of our guests to tell our studio audience and those at home a little bit about who you are.
I'm a retired GM worker.
Okay.
I had 30-some years at that, and
tell me, when is the first, not just sleep apnea, when is the first time you were told or you thought that you had problems with sleeping? Do you remember?
yeah, I was probably in my mid-40s.
Okay. How old are you now?
57.
Okay.
And it's not something that you really know yourself that you have it, because somebody else has to let you know that there's things going on at night. That.
Were you married or somebody?
Yes, I was married at the time,
okay.
And she really didn't say a whole lot about it.
Oh, really?
But whatever that reason was, I don't know. But it just, you don't, like I say, you don't know yourself.
You don't?
No,
Absolutely.
because you don't, because you're sleeping, but you're not sleeping.
And this is a key, one of the key messages we want to give today is that this is a diagnosis that often you don't make. I'll tell you personally, I have sleep apnea, and I did not know. My first experience, I was doing my fellowship training. So when you become a gastroenterologist like I am, you go through medical school, then you go through residency, which is for internal medicine for 3 years, and I was a fellow at the University of Michigan, and none of us had any money. So I was presenting at a conference, and there was somebody rooming with me, and then he had a presentation the day after, and that night he could not believe, because I was snoring and I think my breathing stopped. He was freaking out. The guy was so nervous, and he told me the day after how bad it was. And really, you know, I was single at the time, and you know, I wasn't married, and you know, so I didn't know this was happening. And sometimes even people that are close to you are really afraid of telling you. So you know, it's important that if you are, you know, a loved one or a partner of a patient with sleep apnea, let them know, and let them know early, because this is a problem over time, can lead to some definite complications. Well, back to you. When did you suspect that some of this was sleep apnea? Eventually somebody told you, I hope.
Yes, well, what happened was it was my snoring.
Ah.
And that's really what attributes my problem. But we had some kids living with us from a foreign country.
Oh.
And they were in another room.
And they could
well,
hear
one
it.
morning they asked my ex, "How do you sleep at night?" She says, "Well, some nights I don't."
Oh, wow.
And she had never really ever said anything to me about it. So, you know, I didn't know. But yeah, my snoring was so bad that that's what made me decide to go to the doctor and find out what was going on. And
how long did you wait?
Out.
How long did you wait between the time when you were told, you know, that you were having this trouble snoring and seeing the doctor? How long did you take?
Oh, a matter of just a couple weeks, as soon as I could
Good.
get in.
Good.
Yes.
And this is an important thing. You know, Denny did this, but a lot of people wait and wait and wait because, oh, it'll be all right, I'm just snoring, it's not a big problem. But I think you're proactive, and that's the key, is that when you have this, we say this with lots of different conditions. When you have a problem, don't wait. Go see the doctor. Even if it's not something that you need to be concerned about, at least let a professional who really knows, you know, how to deal with this tell you that. So now, what about other symptoms? Were you sleepy during the day? Do you remember, you know, going back to when you were working at General Motors and even, you know, after? Did you feel sleepy during the day?
Oh, absolutely. It's something that's been ongoing for years. And, you know, you just attribute that to
working
your
too hard,
lifestyle
yeah,
and things like that. But, oh, absolutely. Driving to work, hard time staying awake. I mean, I felt...
Driving to work.
To work.
So not even, this is very important. He's in the morning, should be pretty rested, not in the evening working a double shift or something, and you're getting tired when you're going to work.
Yeah, I mean, I had issues before this where falling asleep at the wheel.
Oh, wow.
You know, and waking up where
The stoplight, right? You go to a
Whatever.
stoplight, or say you stop. This is a classic scenario. You go to a stoplight, and there's no stimulation, and people nod off all the time. This is how dangerous this disease is. And people just say, "Oh, I'm just snoring. It's not a big deal," and they kind of laugh it off. But it can be more serious than that, can it?
Oh, absolutely. You're tired all the time.
How about your level of alertness? I mean, did you feel like there's a certain time that you couldn't give the best that you could?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where it comes into play at home. You know, you get home and you're tired, no energy, and
You're done.
the family just, it's like, well, come on, Dad, let's go do this. "No, I'm too tired." And it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But like I just said in the past, you attribute everything to work.
Right.
But that's not what it is.
Exactly. Important. Again, this is a recurrent theme that, not only do you not, first of all, it's dangerous if you fall asleep at the wheel or something like that happens, it's extremely dangerous, not only to you, but others. You don't give the best you can at work. And even more importantly, you miss out on your family. And people go through decades of this where they're missing out. I mean, there are people that work with me today that say, when I go home, this is 3 or 4 o'clock. I go to my couch and I'm out and I'm sleeping, and you miss the time that you have with your family, and that's to me, it's a tragedy. It really is. If you can, and we have therapy. If we couldn't do anything, people say, well, what's the point? We can actually intervene and actually make your energy come back and give you the time you can get the best with your work and best with your family. I mean, what do they do for testing for you?
Well, the first thing my doctor did was sent me to a heart doctor.
Okay.
And then this is stuff that I didn't realize it could attribute to it. But he did an echo, or I think that's what it was. And a few
An echo,
different
for
things.
those of you at home, is an ultrasound of the heart to find out what's going on. They did that. Okay, go ahead.
And so then they set up a sleep study, which is where you go in.
Yeah.
They hook you up to all kinds of wires and gizmos and gadgets. I mean, I don't know how many wires there are. And
1,000.
Thousands, yeah. And then you're in a little room, and
With a bed.
with a bed, and they turn the lights off and say, "Go to sleep."
Right. So this is so as you know what's going on at home. It's a separate sleep center. So there's two ways of doing this. One is you can do a portable one at home, but most people have one in a center where you actually go in. They've got, literally they've got you taped in the head, in the chest, every single way. You are sure when you go in there you're never going to be able to sleep. And I told them that when I had it, same thing as you, is that I said, there's no way I'm going to sleep. So what happened? Did you get to sleep finally?
Yeah, I think really that was probably one of the better night's sleep that I had. I don't know what the reason for that was.
You just have to set you up with wires all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if because it was the darkness, the temperature and stuff, but yeah.
Okay.
And then, when it's time to wake up, whether you're awake or not, because you tell them what time you normally go to bed, what time you normally get up in the morning.
Yeah.
So if I told them 6 o'clock I had to get up,
They got you up.
6 o'clock, you're up in
Okay.
5 minutes, you're out there and you're gone.
So it wasn't a hard test then.
Oh, no.
Good.
No.
So people get apprehensive about what the test is like. It's a pretty easy test. All you do is, they hook you up with a lot of wires, obviously, but it's not hard. You sleep, and you wake up. They take off the wires, and you go about your business. And then you go. Did you see your doctor a little bit later, or how did you find the results?
Yeah, I went back to my doctor.
Yeah.
And he told me what the results were, and set me up to get a CPAP machine.
And what were the results? Do you remember?
Not totally, but I know, and I don't really know how the numbers
They
work.
told you it was sleep apnea. Then.
Yeah, they told me I had obstructive sleep apnea.
Good.
And
So just so those of you at home wondering how do they know? What they try to find out is how low your oxygen level goes down, when you have this test. So, mine went down pretty low. Mine went down to 75%. So, 75% is not normal for those of you at home. You have to get at least in the 90s to be normal. I went down to 75%, did not even know. They said I woke up 245 times that night, and I didn't even know.
I got you beat on that one.
How'd you get? How many?
257.
Overachiever.
And but my oxygen level was 81.
Oh, 74, I got that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, but the point is, all this is going on, and we have no idea. You didn't have any idea.
No.
And so it's waking up at night, and why does that matter? People say, well, you're sleeping, aren't you? Why does it matter? You're sleeping through the night. Who cares if you wake up as long as you go back to sleep? It's because you don't get the restorative sleep, the sleep that you need to basically get the energy you need the next day.
You don't know you wake up.
Exactly. So you were diagnosed with the sleep apnea, and then what was the treatment? What did they tell you?
They gave me a CPAP machine,
Okay.
and which is just a little, kind of like a little air pump.
Okay.
And one of the things they do when they're doing the study is you have your CPAP machine on there too. So
Did you bought one today? Okay.
Yes, this is the mask they have you wear.
Yeah.
So
Little Darth Vader look, but it'll be
yeah,
fine.
you just slip this bad boy on.
It is a Darth Vader look. I like it.
And
Luke,
the Force.
I'm your father.
And you know, they got a hose here that goes to a pump,
Yes.
and they adjust the pressures to where whatever helps you sleep the best.
So what we were joking a little bit, but basically there's a attachment to this. If you could take a look, and then they put pressure through there basically to overcome the pressure that you have that's stopping you from breathing. And you'd use it all the time. It's pretty comfortable, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, it takes a little bit to get used to with the hose and everything. You know, you can't move around as much if you're a person that sleeps that way. And if you want to know, which you probably know this because you use a machine,
Yes.
this doesn't interfere with your sex life either.
One more time.
It does not interfere with your sex life.
Important, and we're kind of making a little light of it, but you would be surprised how many people don't use it because of they don't even know they're looking at it that what it's going to do. They think it's going to be so uncomfortable. I can't do this, and it is important. Intimacy. People say, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to be intimate," but you probably have more energy to do something than you did when you didn't have the mask on. So don't let that stop you. And here's Denny telling you his sex life is as good or better than it was before the mask. So you heard it here. So now, how about the rest of it? Now, how about your energy during the day? And the energy that you have, do you feel like you don't fall asleep at the wheel? All those things have increased?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's unbelievable the difference.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what somebody that gets great sleep, what their energy level is or how they react during the day, but me personally, yeah, it's made a big difference.
Awesome. And you hear this all the time. People say it's night and day, because it's the same with me. I mean, I just like you, and I didn't get a lot of sleep, and I said, well, it's because of the fact I don't get much sleep. But the sleep that I get, you don't dream very much because you don't go in that deep sleep to get the dream. So it can really affect your energy. It can affect your life overall, not your work life, your personal life. And it's a pretty easy fix. I mean, this is a machine. It's hard. He's got the mask on, but the machine for those of you who travel for work or business, you can take that with you, and it's really quite a device that helps your life. Denny, thank you for taking the time and sharing so people know what it's like. I really appreciate it.